Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Voxel Voicecast. It is Wednesday, April 25th, and I'm Ryan Shepard. With me today, I've got Lee,
Hello.
Red,
Hi.
and Derek.
How's it going?
Oh, not too bad. It's going.
I'm sorry.
It's going. It's par for the course, is what I would say.
Going somewhere.
It's going somewhere, all right. So we're here. We're here on a Wednesday, which is a little bit different for us, but I guess we don't really have a set schedule for this yet. So just keep your eye out, and maybe we'll be on the internet for you guys to watch. So we're gonna talk a little bit about God of War. We got a few things going on today. We're gonna do God of War. We're gonna take some questions from you guys in the chat, and then we're gonna kind of go a little grab bag things that we want to talk about at the end of it. So let's just get into it. So I've been messing around with the game that came out. Yeah, boy. So we've all been playing God of War. We're all at different places in the game, so we're not going to get into too many in-depth spoilers, like far into the game or anything like that, because we don't want to have anything spoiled for ourselves. But we are going to talk a little bit about the beginning of the game. There's some things I want to talk about at the beginning that may be considered spoilers. The video you're seeing in the stream is just the first hour of the game, so not too much crazy going on there. And I think the overall consensus here is that we're pretty positive on the game. I think, yeah, okay.
I think it's definitely earned its ratings.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I want to start
yeah.
with what we don't like about the game, problems we have with it. Everyone's talking about how awesome it is. Everyone's talking about how awesome it is. I want to hear your beefs. I want to know the problems you have with God of War. Who wants to go first?
All
All right, cool.
Yeah. I'd say the skill tree.
Skill tree? Okay, I can talk about that.
It's there. It does its point. Just not super varied.
Okay.
So I don't know. I kind of felt with it like the control that I was looking for when playing with like the different combos that get offered gets kind of limited by how they have the skill tree set up.
Okay.
Not sure how anybody else feels, but
I mean, me personally, I think the game doesn't do a very good job of explaining a lot of its skill tree and the way that there's actually kind of a lot going on. You have like runes and enchantments and things like that you can apply to your armor, and it very slowly trickles these things out through tutorial menus and things like that, and I don't think it does a particularly good job handling that, in my opinion.
Right.
I think
it's a good way to word it.
I think it at least for me, I was finding it even 3 hours into the game, I was still getting tutorials on things that are in the menu, like I was talking about enchantments and things like that, and then remembering the different names for the different little bits and bobs you can put onto your armor and weapons and stuff like that was a little confusing to me. In fact, I had to look up to remember, so enchantments go on armor, and then you have your axe pummel, which is something different, and then you have talismans and all this different kinds of stuff. And I'm glad that it's in there, because I love, I'm a big RPG fan and stuff like that. So I love all of these, the way you can customize it, which is something I didn't expect from this game. But I think they could have done a little bit better job surfacing that. And even if it was just
I played about 6 hours without any armor enhancements.
Cool.
I was like, oh, there's sockets there too. Sweet.
Yeah. Awesome.
See, I have to disagree with you guys on that part. I like the fact that you have to look into it. I think the whole tutorial system altogether is just a crutch for most gamers nowadays. I think you should have to figure it out. And if you don't have your enchantments on, Derek, for 6 hours, that means that you weren't paying attention. Um,
Or they weren't explaining it very well.
My complaints with the game is that if you guys have been watching a stream of me playing, I put it on a higher difficulty usually. And I noticed that sometimes, like, you get farther into the game, some enemies are just ridiculously easy. So you'll see levels like 1, 2, 3 numbers above and their health bars on there.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll see something that's level 4 that's, I think, green. And then you'll see something that's like level 5 that's purple. The green, he hits you, you take barely any damage. The purple hits you, you die instantly. Makes no sense whatsoever to me. And then you have other parts where you'll be fighting, and then you'll come up on these mini bosses, which I will not name, so you guys know what it is. And they'll kill you, and it's like ridiculously hard to beat them. But then you can take out all the rest of the enemies. I think their scaling as far as difficulty goes between each particular enemy in the game is a little off. But like I said, the tutorial system, I like that you have to figure out what is what. And if you have to look up stuff, you got to look stuff up. I mean, I've had to do it. My only other complaint is those goddamn runes. Anybody else have trouble finding those?
No.
Oh, I
was
did.
alright.
Some of those were hidden really well. I mean, it was like an Easter egg in of itself.
After a certain amount of time, though, you learn to think it's going to be probably in the least obvious place, so you look there anyway. And that's what they end up being.
Or it'll be in plain sight, and you just graze over it and just don't see it because it's just like blending so well.
The ones I had a problem with was the timed.
Time.
It's just a pain more than impossible.
Yeah,
Yep.
well, that and precision aiming with the axe isn't super on point.
No, it's very off, because sometimes it gives you the indicator, like you're aiming there, and you throw it, and it's like... there.
So what when you in combat, I think the axe is fucking awesome. I think the combat
Not
in
awesome,
general
fucking awesome.
is amazing. The problem is when you're doing these runes, there's no auto aim on that axe. So like the auto aim with the axe is pretty intense.
I like that it doesn't have that.
But so that's why it's difficult. Like, you know, aiming with an analog stick is still not the greatest thing in the world. But so doing those getting those precision timings is kind of tough. I think it's even more tough using trying to get precision hits with Atreus's arrows. Because he'll be like standing behind something and like just tell him shoot this thing, and he just keeps hitting a rock or keeps hitting something in between, and it's like, just move over like a step to the side or something, dude. Yeah. And you can hit.
Especially if you have to like jump over something and then go down like a little tunnel way, and he'll have to shoot something there. He's like still standing over here.
Yeah.
He like wants to go to your objective.
Yeah.
Forget everything else. He wants that objective.
Usually, it seems like the game's pretty good about shooting arrows through objects and hitting things. Like the game just knows that you're wanting to actually hit what you're doing. But there were a couple of times where like there's an object that I need to hit that was moving, so I had to like tell Atreus to shoot a little bit before the object was in my reticle, and that's where the problem started coming in, where he was like hitting rocks, hitting objects that were in the way, and that was a little bit frustrating. Otherwise, I love the balance between exploring, puzzle solving, and combat. I think in story, of course. I think that's I think they did a pretty good job there.
I absolutely love the game. I think it's one of the best games that's come out yet.
Yeah, it's I don't know how far I'm in. I know you can check to see your hour count and stuff like that, but I've been like,
I don't know where that is.
there hasn't been I think you can check it on like your PlayStation settings or something like that.
I know when you go to save, it shows up.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Has anybody forgot to save?
No, I save manually
Oh,
more more often than I should.
I save all the time. I just don't always load up where I saved. So
It
Yeah,
doesn't
that's-
tell you. It
that's
tells
true.
you what time you saved, but mine doesn't tell you how far into the game you are. As I'm looking at it right now,
yeah, I
as you
mean,
guys
there's
see me
like
looking at-
there's some percentages you can see on some of the map screens and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, there hasn't been a moment that I've been playing this game, and I gotta say, I probably been playing it for, I'd say, 15 hours. That's what the ballpark I'm gonna put into it. And there hasn't been a moment that I've been like, oh man, I just want I want to get through this and finish it, or I want to. It's just
No.
it's just been every moment of the game has been like every new zone I go to, every new story bit has been like totally engaging and completely not what I was expecting going into this game. Well, I guess maybe going into it after reviews came out and started hearing things, but like if you had asked me like last month if I was going to like what I thought God of War was going to be, this is absolutely not what I would have thought. It's a completely different game than honestly, I think it's a different game than they were advertising.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
better.
Yeah, it's way better
planned on getting it
than
at
what they
first.
were
It was
advertising.
like 3 or 4 days beforehand. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get that.
See, this is the type of game that if I was an Xbox player, that would make me buy a PlayStation.
Yeah, I mean,
Specifically for games like this.
if yeah, I this is I hate to ever say, you know, there's this one game to buy an entire console for, but if there ever was, this would probably be it. Like I can't. I mean,
stress that enough.
yeah. At least for me, like everything is just clicking for me with this game. You know, I got the complaints. I got the complaints,
definitely.
but well, I'm not saying game of the year yet. It's
Oh,
a little too early for that.
Then in
am.
spring, maybe.
I mean, there's a lot of games coming out still. A lot of really good, potentially really good games.
We'll see.
And like, I mean, these guys that made this game, they played a lot of Darksiders. That's for damn sure. Like this game
Yeah.
is basically God of War Darksiders. The whole flow of the way the game plays out, which if you haven't played Darksiders, that's like a more mature version of Zelda, I would say. It's like got a darker story, and just even the art is kind of like indicative of that. Like the setting and the art and everything like that is it reminds me a lot of that, but especially like the world structure, like going around corners and you're almost always guaranteed to find a little chest or you know, just the areas are kind of a little bit contained. Like this isn't like I wouldn't call this an open world because you're kind of gated along the way, but there are a lot of open areas, and there are a lot. It kind of like it'll open up and then it'll kind of funnel you down a very meticulously crafted tunnel kind of thing, I would say, like a zone where there's little things off to the side, there's little secrets to find, and you know that's where the story bits unfold and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're almost like a mini labyrinth. If you like some of them, especially if you have different elevations in the map, I've noticed, because you can go around one way and then get stuck and then come around another way and you drop and you're like right back where you started.
Yeah, it's very much like in the vein of Legend of Zelda, or more recently the Dark Souls games, where you're always finding a shortcut back to the start of the area, and it's well crafted in that way where you're not backtracking, but you're also given the opportunity to really take your time and explore the areas, because there's stuff to find, and you're gonna come across stuff that you can't access right when you find it. Like, you need to acquire abilities along the way, so it's like kind of like Metroid in that sense, where you'll investigate an area, and there'll be thank you, Red, for commenting on that. And by the way,
trying to make more people show up.
Yeah. Yeah, so you'll investigate an area, you'll find something that you can't access, and then you'll eventually, throughout along the storyline, you'll find that special thing, and then you'll be like, once you acquire a new ability, and this is what I love about these kinds of games, is you immediately start thinking about, oh, where can I access now? What did I see in that area that I can now get? Like that chest that was locked, or that door I couldn't pass through now that I got this new ability. And yeah, I just literally a game made for me is pretty much all I can really say, because it has just about everything that I love about all that.
Yeah, like I've really gotten drawn into this one. Like I've played the God of War series, but pretty much just to play it.
Yeah.
But this one's really drawn me in.
I didn't really play much through the God of War series. I played maybe one of the games, kind of played into the other games. Didn't like the play style terribly, but I do like this one. It's definitely, as you said, drew me in to play it. And I don't know if it was the whole God of War hype that made me want to play it, or the fact that it was new, or what they discussed about the game, but overall it looked like it was really cool. And it's the kind of game where I wish that you could have two players, have a second person come in and be the son to play with you, and grab my son to come play as Atreus, as where I'm playing as Kratos going through the game,
Yeah, that would be kind of neat.
Yeah.
Although I feel like Atreus his AI is pretty good. Like, he's not annoying, and he always kind of gets done what he needs to get done.
Yeah, he's pretty fun in combat, especially once you get more of his skills unlocked for like stunning or keeping people stunned a certain way. I think that's where he really shines.
I think I'm bad because I unlocked all his stuff before I did Kratos.
Yeah, I know, I did too. I got his entire thing unlocked right now, what I have access to anyway. And
that would be another complaint I have with this game, to bring up the complaints of the game. I have found that if you do the side quests, or you stop from the main quest and you go to the side quest, you might come into these points where you're sitting on like 20,000-30,000 experience you can't use. Unless you use it on extra items or something for no reason. You already burned through the skill tree, and you have to wait to upgrade your stuff till you progress further in the game.
Yeah, I guess that's always an issue with RPGs where you can kind of trail off. There's always a chance to like over level yourself. And
yeah, they kind of have like a weird way of giving out XP, because like sometimes you'll get like 20, and then you'll finish something, and out of nowhere you've got like 10,000.
Yep. I've had that happen too.
Yeah.
I also found that if you're mid-fight and you see experience pull up in the middle of a fight, you could pause the menu, put the experience points into whatever you're doing, and then if you fail, it stays in that skill. I don't know if that's a bug or if it was intentional.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you get?
I did that when I was fighting one of the mini bosses. I won't say what the mini bosses are, but yeah, when I was fighting one of the mini bosses, I saw like 6,000 experience pop up. I was like, "Ooh, I need that. Let me pause it."
Do you know? Does it like give you that experience back?
What do you mean? Give it back? It stays in that skill. And then if you fight it
when
again,
you die,
so if
you die, it loads back to a previous point theoretically before you.
Nope. It does not retro back at all. It stays in. So that those experience points add up every time you die. You kind of go back to before the fight, but all your experience stays there. If that makes sense.
I feel like the XP glitches they're talking about. I know on YouTube.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
Videos.
That's what I'm asking.
Don't
I'm
get me
asking
wrong.
if like, there goes
I'm not.
Lee.
I don't like the cheating aspect of anything, and I don't like using exploits. That's something that I noticed. Like I said, I don't know if it's intentional or a glitch, but yeah.
Yeah, I haven't run into any of that. I think I'm like at a point where I think the game is designed around an idea of like you finding your style and then sticking with it, which is why the skill tree isn't gigantic, and you kind of get XP at a rate that you can kind of max yourself out, quote unquote, not super far into the game, so you can kind of like get your style, because it's like it is kind of more or less an RPG light, you know. It's definitely more of like a
it's like an action RPG.
Yeah, it's like an action art, but even, I mean, with an emphasis on the action, as opposed to the RPG. It's kind of like, you know, a lot of games are go down this road. Like, I mean, like if we're talking about, like last year with Horizon Zero Dawn, that was kind of the same situation where the skill tree in that was kind of, you know, it wasn't huge. It wasn't like a gigantic, big RPG skill tree, but the RPG element was kind of, in a way, like a bonus to the rest of the game. And that's kind of where it is with here too. There's two things I want to, and this is a little bit of, I mean, this happens in like the first 15 minutes, but there's two references that I picked up on in the game right away, which you just saw in the video. Kratos cuts down this tree and carries it on his shoulder, and I immediately got the reference to Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando, where that's how that movie starts out. He's like walking through the forest with a huge gigantic tree over his shoulder, which is another story about, you know, it's his daughter, but you know, like father-child relationship kind of thing. And then later on, Kratos does this thing to test Atreus. Like, he holds out his hand and tells Atreus I think he just tells him to hit it, and like he moves out of the way too quick. And that I immediately thought of the scene in Terminator 2 where Arnold Schwarzenegger does that with John Connor, where he's like teaching him the high five, and he like says psych, too slow, which is another dynamic of kind of like father-son kind of thing going on there too. So I just thought those were two cool references that they snuck in, just to pick up on those kind of little details.
Waiting for Kratos to say, "I'll be back."
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, yeah, there's definitely a connotation there. Like,
hasta la vista,
get down,
baby. Get into the chopper.
Yeah, get to the chopper, boy.
Oh, man.
No.
The portal.
No. So I have a question for you guys. So I know that you guys, all of us, have at least gotten to the point where you see I'd say halfway through the game. So far, what you've gotten through, who would you say is your favorite character?
The head.
The head's pretty
I
good.
don't have one. Everybody's pretty obnoxious. Kratos is sour. The son is stroppy. I can see why he has a pop at him. Everybody's there's. I don't find there's many people to root. I don't really root for Kratos.
He's kind of quiet. One word, monosyllabic, you know, type thing.
One word, boy.
Yeah.
Boy.
Well, even when he's not saying boy, are you going to wait here? Yes. Is that what you're doing? Yes.
I do not know.
Okay, no.
I do not know.
So far, I'd say my favorite is Brock.
Dude, Brock's pretty awesome.
What the fuck you want?
Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely
baffles the
has some
shit
good
out of me.
lines.
What's everybody from New York? Why is everybody from New York all of a sudden? If you look at the old ones, they kind of they
I'm
have some,
walking
you
here.
know, they do that whole kind of fantasy thing of
Yeah,
like
but then
cheesed English, maybe. But now
But then-
they're all fuck you, man, sort of thing. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
weird tone.
It's
kind of, but
it's
then
really
you got
just
the
Brock.
head who's got the the whole Irish Scottish accent going on, which
It's I mean Brock's the only one that's, as far as I could tell, the only one that's been swearing up a storm. Yeah, like I said, he'd be the guy that'd be like, "Hey, I'm Smith in here. Get out of my way."
I see everybody loving Sindri. I
I
just
like
want to
them
smack
both.
Sindri every time I see him. I just want to.
I like him because he's like neurotic. like he's got the like I said, he's neurotic, so he's got his confidence issues and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just funny thinking about their juxtaposition. Like, imagine them actually working together and trying to make something together in the same workshop or something like that.
Oh, that'd be hilarious to see. Prequel. Come see Sindri and Brock work together.
I think a lot of that ties into like the original trilogy was incredibly self-serious. Like, it was like,
Do you think?
yeah.
Oh.
And this is like, it has its serious moments, but it also has its like
Jokes.
Yeah, it's jokes. And so much of it is like thinking about the character, somebody like Kratos dealing with all of these different characters. And one of the things that just keeps coming up over and over is the fact that it doesn't really address the fact that these dwarves just keep showing up in front of you all the time. I mean,
it's a merchant thing, isn't it?
It keeps happening, and they mentioned it, they touched upon it early on. Like, Atreus does say, "How do you keep showing up in front of us?" And it wasn't really answered, but I love that they just keep doing it and they don't keep answering it. Like, they don't feel like they have to go and be like, "Oh, they've got some magical amulet that allows them to transport everywhere at will."
What are you buying?
You can't see
pretty
me.
much. It's a lot like that. It's a lot like the Stranger and in Resident Evil 4, that he's like got this whole huge shop set up underneath this in like this underground dock area, and you're like, what is this guy doing? How can he be on this island and with all this horrible shit going on and still have this shop that he just shows up at all the time?
Thriving business.
Yeah, this huge thriving business.
That's because I know how to go.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love those two dwarfs though. The best part of the game.
Yeah.
Especially when you're like in an area and you can see a little workshop set up and there's nothing, and then like you'll go up around like the corner and all of a sudden they're just there.
Hammering
He's like,
away.
hey, yeah.
Yeah, no,
Let me see your axe.
every time I hear that, like, before you approach it, you hear the hammering. Like, you don't, before you see the shop, you hear the cling, cling, cling. And every time I just get a little smirk on my face, and I'm like, all right, here we go. Here's some more
I
ridiculous
do know because
thing.
there's some like smart ass or snark.
Well, my other favorite
Kind of
part
like
is,
remark coming.
yeah, you'll see them like adjusting one of the things, and they'll be like, "All right, I'm good. I fixed it for you."
Yeah.
It's like, what the?
Yeah, especially Sindri because he's just like ding ding. There you go.
Yeah.
You know?
there was one time Brock just took my axe and just one smack. He's like, okay, now it's better.
One.
Yeah. He's like, clink, it's better now. And I think Kratos was like, "What did you do?" It's better. Is all he said.
It's
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
Or like you'll just come around the corner and they'll be like, the other one touched that. Let me see it.
Yeah. What did he do to
Let
it?
me fix this problem.
Yeah.
What did he do to break it?
Yeah.
So how does everybody think it sits as part of the series? Because that's one of my big kind of.
I haven't got.
as a-
I can't really say about that until I finish it and see how it concludes.
See how it blows up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
if
same.
it blows up.
Yeah.
Mm.
Because I know
'Cause that's my.
they're not. They're clearly not making a clean cut. This isn't like a retelling of the story, or like this is the Kratos from those old games, and he's carrying his past with him. So I'm interested to see where they take that and if there's a payoff for it at the end, because they seem to be going down that road. Yeah, I mean, I got my suspicions on how it's going to go down, but we'll see, I guess.
Right. It also does a good job of like keeping you wanting to know more and wanting to go forward, because they'll give just the right little bits from time to time. And you're like, oh really? All right, I need to know more now. I want to keep going.
Yeah, I'm anxious to to finish it. Definitely a fun game.
Yeah, I mean it's like they're, yeah, it's a new direction for the series, and you know whether or not you wanted that game, that same game, those same games over and over again. I could see being disappointed with it, but you know, the fact is that for the most part, like when you go back and you look at those games, like they were fucking awesome when they came out, but you know, games have come so far now, and just going with another like combo driven hack and slash kind of game like that, especially with like locked isometric camera and stuff like that, I just don't think it wouldn't have had the, in my opinion, I don't think it would have had the impact that this game is having.
Now, I don't really have an issue. They have massively changed the combat, except they have. But yeah, as a big fan of the old games, I really miss the tone of the old ones, the bombast of the old ones, which this one doesn't have. This one plays quite low key. Still, it gets big, but I really miss the.
It certainly has its moments.
The kind of the ridiculous bigness of it all, the epicness, the kind of Clash of the Titans-y thing of it all.
I mean,
I
guess
miss a lot of that.
They kind of do that more with like showing it to you instead of like having you participate in it. Like you walk into an area and it's you see it all in front of you, right? And you're not going to have the blades of chaos and go flipping around and cutting an ogre's head off or something like that with a button mashing. Well, and there is still some of that. Like there are still like takedowns. Like when you get an enemy down to a certain amount, you'll get a button, like a button prompt to take them down. But then you can even do it with the bigger enemies where there's like a scripted event where you those trolls, they have those big pieces of wood, so you'll flip around, you'll do you're not in control of Kratos. It's all like cinematic.
Pre-made animation.
It's getting to that like prompt once you get them so low, but then you only get that like certain window of time, and if you miss out on it, then you're just
But then there are
That's what they used to have, but without the QTEs.
Right. They basically see, but there still are some of those. Like there are certain fights that you get in with, and you're in there and you're smashing R1 or R2, but there aren't any, like, I wouldn't call them quick time events. Like there aren't like if you miss one, you're not going to fail. like a combination of buttons, right? It's all just like you just keep pressing R1 and Kratos will keep pounding it, or you're moving a rock and you're pounding circle and he moves the rock or something like that. Which I could do without, honestly. Like I would it's either I don't find that particularly engaging. I've never have in video games, like just pressing a button over and over again to do something, whether it be punching somebody in the face or opening a door, like pulling a chain to open a door or something like that. I would just rather I move Kratos up to the object, I hit the button once, and then he just does it, because I don't fucking care. I don't need to. I don't need the tactile feel of him lifting this giant chain, and like as if pressing circle a bunch of times on a button is supposed to make me feel like I'm Kratos pulling a chain. Like I don't need that.
Right. Especially when you have to do it till like you feel like your thumb's gonna fall off and you're like, what the fuck did I just do this for? Like
right. Yeah.
I'd have to say too.
Guys, this game.
What's that?
Sorry?
What rating? The based out of 10. I'm seeing like when you go to buy this in a store, it says 10 out of 10. What would you put this game at as of what you played so far?
Well, that's kind of a hard question. Like, if it ended right now, what would I rate it?
Possibly, yeah.
Not very high because it hasn't been a satisfying ending yet.
Well, obviously.
I don't know. 8, 5, 9.
What about you, Lee?
8.5. Because exactly what Ryan just said. It's like kind of I'm halfway through.
Yeah.
I've kind of unlocked everything I needed to unlock already, and there's nowhere else to go apart from like hitching runes to my axe and that. So I've seen everything it's kind of going to have to offer me combat wise. It's just going to get stronger. So kind of, I'm not sure if it's going to sustain 35 hours with the sort of combat it has.
Okay. What about you, Nerd?
I would say with the last scene that I saw, I'd give it a 9, just because like when that whole thing happened, I won't mention any of it here. I was just like, yes, like it was very satisfying.
Intrigued.
Like
I need to know what the thing is now.
They're spoiler alert.
What's
there are
the
trees
thing?
in
Oh my
this game.
god! It might be a 9.
There are trees and there are rocks in this game. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Tell me later. Oh god.
And what about
Lee,
the viewers?
just when you get further in, Lee, just PM me.
Yeah.
I will.
Then we can keep it safe like that. Because if you spoil something for me, I'm not worried about it. So.
What? They start
See,
peeing on you?
I'm pretty
I've had to
sure
talk
every
to so
single
many
one of you
people.
were ahead of me.
I
I'm
don't
probably
think
the
I
furthest
can
behind.
possibly. I don't think
I'm still
so,
at the point
man.
where you hit someone with an axe and disappoint your son.
I don't know which one that is. I don't know what part that is.
No.
So you're probably ahead of me.
It's like first half of the game.
Well, the sun seems
Like-
pissy all the time, anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what
I'd
kinda
give it
gets
high ratings
you.
myself.
Is
Um,
especially because of having like a son. Just to add into that part real quick. Whenever you like do something and you start getting along with him, and then all of a sudden it's just like, whatever, and the son's just like I'm always like,
Yeah.
come on.
I mean, I'm at
Someone in
I'm-
R&D at Sony is really disappointed with his mum or dad.
Right?
How many of them
a
now
lot
have we got?
of dad issues over there.
Oh,
All right, we got like the mom hate with Horizon Zero Dawn because that was her mother,
oh.
and now we got the daddy issues with God of War.
Yeah.
where's the sibling issues one?
Yeah, we're gonna. Soon we're gonna have Android issues.
From what I heard, yeah, Detroit.
Yeah, right.
I was gonna say I'm pretty sure I heard something like along the lines of that.
Yeah, I mean Atreus is totally dead inside, in my opinion. Like that kid's fucked
It's just
up.
a show.
Yeah, he is. yeah, so yeah, I don't think there's anything else.
Without giving away too much of the game, I don't know. Yeah, like you said,
Yeah.
much else to talk about.
Has there been any questions in the chat that people wanted us to talk about?
I did see one on Facebook, not necessarily on a chat, in the group,
Okay.
that was sent by Nicholas James Spencer. He said, a good question here. What was the biggest fear or concern did you have going into the new God of War game that got extinguished when you actually played the game?
Well, I was worried it was gonna suck, and it doesn't. So that was a good thing.
I'd have to say for me, it was probably that it was going to be very similar to the older games where I'm not much. I want to say parts of the older games are slightly platformer based to start out with. I didn't like that. I do like the way the free range is in this. Visually, the game is gorgeous, and what I was biggest fear is that the game wouldn't play the way they've been showing it for like what 6 months. All the cinematics they were showing, I thought that would just be cinematics, and you would have lower graphics with the gameplay. But
I mean, they've been showing
no,
the game
gameplay
for 2
is
years.
really good too.
Yeah. So I mean, my biggest concern was the direction that most Sony, which is why I don't like a whole lot of Sony first party, is that they go down this cinematic route, and it's more narrative and over gameplay, because I'm a gameplay guy. I need, like, I can't just like this. It's one of the reasons why I'm not super interested in Detroit coming out next month, because I don't think I'm going to enjoy just playing that game, because it's not going to engage me. Like I need the gameplay, I need the action.
The action.
And that was the biggest thing that I was worried about was, and one of the things that I was like, when this game, it's one of the things that I'm like, they didn't really, like I said, up until a month, like if you had asked me a month ago if I was gonna like God of War, I would have been like, I don't know, it looks kind of boring. It looks like it's just gonna be a father-son journey without too much going on. But then,
man,
like,
were you wrong?
Right. I mean, they didn't, like, it wasn't until like a week or two before the game came out that there was information about, like, hey, this is actually an RPG. There's armor that you're going to find and be able to equip in different sets that give you different perks and stuff like that. And I'm like, as soon as I started hearing that, I'm like, okay, you got my attention. You would have had my attention 2 years ago if you had opened with that. But, you know, you didn't. So I just don't know. It's this weird thing where, like, sometimes I feel like there's too much that's revealed about a game before it comes out, and then there's situations like this where I think they would have, at least for people like me, gotten more people interested in it if they had shown a little bit more of that.
Right.
ahead of release, like at least alluded to it in some way, because up until that point, like, they had shown that little bit of combat, and everything else had been like narrative stuff. It had been like cutscenes and talking about how the camera never cuts, and I'm like, that's cool.
Ooh.
Like, I'm a video nut. Like, I love hearing about movies where they do big long takes without cuts. I think that's really cool, and I think it's cool that they do it in this game, but it literally has no impact on the gameplay, no impact on the story, no impact on anything. So it's cool, but it really it's like it's literally window dressing. You know, it doesn't really do anything long term outside of, like, oh, that was cool. That's a cool thing. So why talk about it? You know what I mean? Why have that be something that you have in a bullet point or something like that? I don't know.
Yeah.
So we did have another question coming from the chat,
Yep.
but Steph kind of said it might be too early to answer this, but I'm still going to ask the question anyways. It's do you think this God of War serves as a reboot or a continuation for the franchise?
It's
We kind of
continuation.
we kind of touched upon that already.
Yeah, it's more so a continuation.
Story wise, it's a
than-
continuation. Gameplay
Yeah.
and mechanics wise, it's like a reboot, I guess you would call
Yeah.
it. Which I think that's in terms of like long running franchises doing this. I think they should look to God of War as a way to do that, like keep the narrative strings intact, but update the game mechanics to be what gamers are more looking for.
Yeah.
In those terms.
It's like a continuation with a nice can of paint put over it.
It does the same thing as
More
the
like
old
a
one
new
does, just with a
engine.
new.
Yeah.
Not a can of paint, a new engine.
Yeah, no, it's more than just a coat of paint. Yeah.
But
At least that's
as far
what
as
I think.
questions
I don't
go,
know.
I think that's it, unless any of you guys have questions.
No.
No.
No. All right.
Okay. I don't know if we have any off-topic questions that aren't related to God of War. Anyone? Bueller?
Bueller?
Is Ferris Bueller in the chat?
Gonna broach.
All right. I guess we can go on to the next segment. Yeah. So, this is we're just gonna kind of talk about whatever the heck we want to talk about.
Just as you say that.
Yeah. We have some things that we all chose to discuss. I don't think any of us have played the Detroit demo. Is that accurate?
I have.
No.
Oh, you
Oh
have?
God, no.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be one that's going to be that interesting.
What did you think of it, Red?
I'm the one that's an odd man out.
Like,
I have played the demo. I took a stab at it, so to speak, before we even did the cast. It's kind of like the Until Dawn. One of those, your choices, butterfly effect, will come out into your thing, and it kind of is an exploratory type game. If you're looking for action, don't do it. If you want to look for a consequence based on what you're doing, I'd say go for it. If you want to watch a story unfold, go for it. But the way that it seems is that it's not just one big story. It's just a bunch of little different stories from each one of these specific type of androids that are taking place in this, I guess, game universe, whatever you want to call it.
Detroit.
I do plan on playing the game. I'm not positive if I'm going to get it right away, for the same reasons you guys. It doesn't seem like it's something that I want to invest my money in. If it's $60 or even $40, I might wait for it to go on sale.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I there's a free demo, so I'll probably download it and at least check it out. I mean, I could promise you I'm probably not going to buy it. And the demo is probably going to. I mean, pretty much the trailers have let me know that it's probably not going to be my thing, but I'll at least give it a shot. You know, there's a free trial, so might as well, right?
It's a little bit different than the trailers. I'll tell you that the demo is.
Yeah, I imagine, kind of like God of War. All right, so we'll do what I was talking about before, where we're just gonna kind of chit chat about some things we're caring about. Do you want to? I guess I'll just go first and get Frostpunk out of the way because that's what we're showing with the gameplay here. I have last time I talked about Frostpunk playing it at PAX East, and since then I've got the review copy and been able to really dig into this game. And initially I was like, I wasn't sure. I wasn't convinced on it because it was quite a bit different than I thought it was going to be. So it's on its surface, it looks like a city builder, like City Skylines or even Sim City or something like that, where you're having to manage the needs of what people want versus what you can afford to build and stuff like that. And there is that element to it, but this game is by the people that did This War of Mine. So if you've played those games, you know that there's probably something a little bit more going on than just a simple simulation or something like that. So what they do here is it's all scenario driven. You're not like starting a random map and starting a random city. You're trying to build it out, which kind of like was what I thought it was going to be when I first jumped in. But it's all based around scenarios. So you start out with your city in the middle of, it's like it takes place in England, but there's like, it's basically an ice age has come in, and I thought going in that it was going to be like a future ice age, like apocalypse in the future, but it's actually alternate history. It's taking place around the turn of the 20th century, so like 1900s.
Steampunk.
What's that?
Steampunk.
Yeah.
Very kind of that kind of turn of the century, past future tech type thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. I mean, that's when it takes place. And
nice.
It's an alternate reality where there are certain things that have advanced beyond, like they're like automatons that exist, that big giant robots that can help your city build things and collect resources and stuff like that. And as you can see in the video, like there are these generators that are at the heart of the cities that generate warmth to keep the people from freezing to death, basically, in the hell that they're living in. And the layer that's interesting on here is there's this thing called the Book of Laws, which every law you enact typically has like a positive and a negative. It's not just like we need law and order, so I enact a law and order thing and everybody just complies and everything's all hunky-dory. You'll choose one of these laws and like you have this hope and dissatisfaction meter. So like you'll choose something like early on it asks you to make a decision about what you want to do with children in the city. So you can choose to put them to work, collecting resources and helping in some of the facilities, or you can choose to build child shelters to keep them safe and warm and well fed and stuff like that. And you have to make that decision. And if you choose to send them to work, hope goes down because, people are seeing their kids side by side with them working in the mines and shit like that. If you choose to go with the child shelters, you get less people to collect resources and help around the city, but hope goes up because it feels a little bit more like a civilized society, like you wouldn't have kids that are, 10 years old doing these kinds of jobs. But because your resources are so limited, you have to make those hard decisions. Like not putting those kids to work means you're not going to be collecting your resources as fast. And there's a ton of different choices that you have to make along the way. So that's kind of where like the trademark of the studio is coming in. Like, you had to make those kinds of tough decisions in this War of Mine. You know, it was a little bit more intimate scale on this War of Mine because you had you felt connected to the individual people, whereas this case you got like 100 people in your city, and they try to go a little bit into hello.
I thought I saw the tail there.
Yeah.
Because I saw the reflection on the back. I was like, there's a cat over there.
Yeah. We'll adjust that. There we go.
Give him his own window.
What's that?
Give him his own window.
Yep. Yeah, so there's a little bit of that, but it isn't quite as personal because you're kind of on a bigger scale. And yeah, I think so. Like, I was surprised that it wasn't just like a sandbox city builder like a lot of these things are. And it took me a little while to warm up to it. No pun intended. But after I met it on its own terms, I started to enjoy it. I started to respect what it was doing and think it does what it tries to do very well. It's very hard. If you are thinking of picking it up and checking it out, I would say start on the easiest difficulty, because even the medium difficulty is very, very unforgiving. So because it's scenario driven, there are you get missions along the way, and at certain points during the campaign, so to speak, certain things will be triggered, certain events. So if you play through it on the easiest setting, you can anticipate those events on the harder setting. Otherwise, there's one thing in particular that is kind of a game ender if you're not prepared for it. Like, if you're not prepared for it and this hits and you're kind of screwed. Like, it will not end well. And that's actually, I actually encountered that while I was playing through my first playthrough, and it was kind of a bummer. That was the point where I was like, what the fuck is this game doing? Is this really what they expect you to do? But then I was like, you know what? I'm going to give it another try. I'm going to try it on the easier setting. And if anything, the easier setting is almost too easy, but it at least gets you prepared for what's going on, and then you can ratchet it up a little bit and get a real challenge out of it. And there are other scenarios that you can play. Once you get to a certain milestone in the main progression, you unlock 2 other scenarios that kind of mix things up a little bit. So overall, like, I'm pretty positive on it. It does have its issues. Like I said earlier, like, it does have, I think it has a difficulty issue. I think it has a late game kind of get screwed over issue, which I don't think is super great. But I would like some sort of like random, like start with a random city and try to build it out and see how long you can survive or something like that. Yeah, I mean, that's my, I'm gonna have a full, like, written and probably video review on it. It's just taking me a little bit longer. I got sidetracked in Asgard.
Got a war.
Yeah. I got sidetracked. Midgard, is that where it takes place? I got sidetracked in Midgard. I got lost in Midgard, so I'm trying to make my way up to the frozen tundra of
Jotunheim.
London. Yeah.
Or Helheim.
All right, Lee, what do you got?
I've been keeping an eye on the Game Pass thing. It doesn't seem to have panned out, does it? As a startup, it doesn't seem to have fired
The
at all.
Xbox Game Pass that you were talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of it started with a fart. Let's be honest. It's come out and let's be honest, the big games died.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where they're going to go from it. The next one, okay, you got State of Decay that's going to be coming in next month.
Yeah.
And that is something that people are getting because it's now multiplayer centric. But I'm keeping an eye on it. The Sea of Thieves has died on the vine. I don't see many people picking up on the indie stuff that you get basically free with the Game Pass. It's not looking like I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work. I think
there's-
E3 is going to be a big thing. If they can't pull off E3,
Oh, E3 is going to be a big thing.
Mm.
Oh.
They need to work out what they're going to be bringing out exclusively, as it were, like Microsoft exclusive, not Xbox exclusively. But yeah, it's a. They've put all their eggs in one basket. Basically, shot their physical sales in the foot. I don't know. The software goes. I don't know what they're going to do.
I personally don't like the idea of it. It's like, all right, I got Xbox Live, I got to subscribe to this, I got to subscribe to that, I got to subscribe to this, and there's like 7 different subscriptions just to play one goddamn game. So,
no, 1 or 2.
I think.
Yeah. Probably they don't have enough exclusives to put behind it if that was their original selling of that pass.
Well,
That's why
it wasn't the original selling point. I mean, it's been around for over a year, and they just recently added the qualifier that all new Xbox exclusives are going to come out. And so it also includes I believe it includes all of the previous Xbox exclusives right now as well. So you can play Halo 5, you can play Gears of War 4. I think Sunset Overdrive is on it. I'm not 100% sure on that.
I'll have to check that, and if that is.
Yeah,
I don't know because it's always been free. So
I honestly believe that's the type of thing where it should be part of your Xbox Live thing. What the hell am I paying for Xbox Live for? That's one of the things we've been arguing with PlayStation and PlayStation Plus giving you those games that come with the Plus thing. That as long as you get them within that period of that month, you have them. You can play them anytime. And you can play. So if an exclusive comes out at a certain point and you download it or choose to quote unquote purchase it in that time period, you got it. You don't have to worry about it past then. But with Xbox, it's like, okay, then what the hell is Xbox Live for? I'm paying $60 so I can play online.
Oh, you also get the free games there too. You get with the same thing
But
with
then
PlayStation Plus.
Why not just put those things on the Xbox Live thing?
They do. If you subscribe to Xbox Live, you get the free games with gold. Which is the same thing as the PlayStation Plus games.
Yeah, I don't like more subscriptions.
Okay,
I think
that's
it's
fine.
Am I right in think
you can say that.
Am I right in thinking with PlayStation, if you decide not to pay for PS Now or whatever it is, then they take those games away from you?
I've never touched PS Now. I believe that's just like the Game Pass, though. Whether or not they take them from you, I have no idea. I think it's pretty much the same thing, but for theirs, it's pretty much open to almost everything. Whereas this one seems very limited to what you're allowed to play.
But the thing is, the ones they tend to give away with PlayStation are older games. These are like day one. They're kind of throwing away the day one games, which is fine if it works as a system.
Yeah.
But if the people aren't buying into it, I don't see. You got dead software day one. It's I don't know. It's not been very well implemented, I don't think.
Yeah, I think for me, the original idea behind why they have those two services, Xbox has always had it. You've always had that subscription to pay online, but In the
Yeah.
360 day, they won because their servers were great. PlayStation 3 side, servers were bad because there was no upkeep to that. But now that they've implemented it, but now everybody wants the games behind it too, where they're kind of giving that as like, hey, thanks for getting on to this. Here's some games, but now everybody's just worried about the games, not the fact that our servers are better, or that's what that little fee is for.
Yes, but that's
At
not
least that's
what
how
it
I
is.
feel on it.
Yeah,
I mean,
but that's not really known to most players why that is. I'm going to tell you that most players that are playing one of these games, at least with the PlayStation side, that when you have this PlayStation Plus subscription, it wasn't about the servers. They didn't think about that. They thought, well, hey, this is how I'm getting free games. I'm getting this so that I get my 2 free games a month or however many free games a month.
How many people came from playing on the Xbox 360 where live was always a thing? It's just PlayStation now having live. So the genius behind it is getting way overshadowed by what they're trying to give as extras. Like,
yeah, I don't like paying for all these extra services. I think it's kind of stupid. Personally, if you want to do this, then like just add another $5 to the stupid monthly live subscription and give me whatever it is. But you have, how much is the Game Pass per month?
$10.
$10.
Yeah.
$10. Okay, so just add that to the live for whatever live players.
Yeah, but what if you don't want it?
They keep increasing the prices of everything. PlayStation's getting rid of what? The PlayStation Vita and PlayStation 3 games come next year off the PlayStation Plus stuff. So, I mean, what if I wanted those? I mean, what does that mean? You know,
it means you don't have them anymore. It means you don't have a choice.
Seeing these increase in prices on everything, and then you have all these different aspects. Well, pay for this, pay for that, pay for that. Used to be kind of, and let's use cable as an example. It used to be for cable that you could pay for one cable subscription and you're good. Now you can buy HBO by itself or Showtime by itself or whatever, and that's the way it feels like it's going. Is everybody's just like, we're not going to work together. We're just each individual service. We have to pay for each individual service, and that is what it seems like is happening with all the different gaming systems. Except for Switch game, Nintendo doesn't seem to have that yet, but let's see how the future pans out.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to. They've already announced that they're going to have an online service. It's just like
but it's $20 per year.
Yeah,
right?
$20 is a lot better than 60.
We also don't know what that includes.
Yeah,
true.
Yeah.
So,
they don't even have party chat yet.
When you look at like the cost of say Xbox Live, which hasn't changed since they've implemented it, it's $60 a year.
Correct.
When that first launched, really the only thing you were getting was online multiplayer. That was it. And now, it's not even like, yeah, online multiplayer is required for it, but it's such like a secondary thought to what you're actually getting, which is free games every month, discounts on which PlayStation also does.
There's sales constantly. I swear every time I pull up the store, there's some different sale.
So that's what you're paying for now. You're paying for this like membership card that gets you discounts and free stuff every month, or in the case of discounts every week. And if you don't want it, in terms of that, too bad. You also can't play online multiplayer. But in terms of the Xbox Game Pass, keeping that as its separate thing is obviously the right thing to do, because if they had all of a sudden announced that now Xbox Live is $70 a month, and you're forced into, and the reason why we're doing this is because we're giving you this list of games every month that maybe you care about, maybe you don't. I just think that would have gone over a hell of a lot worse than here's like $10 a month, and if you want it, if there's some games on here you want, cool. If not, you don't have to pay for it.
So let me pose this question for you. let's say we have one of those games that comes with your Game Pass that requires online multiplayer, such as maybe Sea of Thieves. That was on a Game Pass recently, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That means I have to buy the Xbox Live in order to do that.
Yeah, I
right?
mean, there's no way
So
you're
I
not.
have to pay $70. So no matter what I do, I'm already buying the Xbox Live thing.
Yeah,
So
I'm not
like I
saying you're
said,
not buying
it's
the
an
Xbox Live
extra-
thing. I'm saying you don't have to buy the Xbox Game Pass because you can go to the store and you can buy Sea of Thieves.
You can.
Yeah.
Well, shit,
That's
you're
why.
not committed to it. If you want to play, say, Crackdown for a month, and you buy a month's worth of Game Pass when it comes out, and then just fuck it off for the rest of the year. You're
Understand? I'm playing devil's advocate.
Yeah.
To be that, I guess you would say the counter side to whatever you guys are saying is good about it. So.
Yeah, I mean, I subscribed to the Games Pass. Well, I got the free trial first. Started with that for Sea of Thieves, and I'm going to continue to keep it for State of Decay. After that, depending on how I feel about State of Decay, based on the way I play games, I'm probably not going to be playing that game for more than a month, I doubt. Even if it does have multiplayer in it, in my opinion, multiplayer isn't something that the original State of Decay needed. I had plenty of fun not playing alone, playing that game alone and building up my city. That's probably how I'm mostly gonna play this one. And unless they have some sort of real long-term progression to this where they keep adding things and they keep updating the game, I'll either probably cancel Games Pass and buy the game if I want it. Or I'll stay with Games Pass if I'm going to keep playing it. And they come out at E3 and they're like, hey, here's this gigantic, huge plan for Sea of Thieves that's going to make this game completely different than it is right now. And they say Crackdown 3 is coming out next month, and then we have this other game coming out a month after that, blah, 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 blah. They're going to have to give me the pitch on to keep Games Pass, because, I mean, $10 a month is not that big of a deal. It's I mean, I go...
Especially when you think of how many games you buy a year.
Right, yeah. If you buy 2 full-priced games a year, Games Pass pays for itself. So if you're gonna...
Have you dipped into the indie side of it yet?
Not real. I mean,
because all the indie the indie stuff is kind of included in that, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah.
I think some of the bigger games that I saw on that list was City Skylines, which you can play for free, if you're into that.
So if it does include all the games that you might be available, all the AAA games, yes, I'd say it's totally worth it. Nicholas in the chat said is kind of a membership. If you want the game, you need a membership. Do you think you should get the game discount with the membership? Now, if you have this Game Pass and you've been playing it, I think that if you buy it from the store afterwards, maybe you should get slight discounts since you're paying for that game.
I believe you do. I think it's
yeah, you do.
I'm not aware if you do. Like I said, I don't mess with it. I don't play Xbox enough to care.
Right.
See, for me, that's
exactly
exactly
what it
why I
sounds
like the Game Pass, because the only thing I'm going to play on the Xbox are the exclusives. And if all exclusives are going to be included in it, like they said, boom, it pays for itself, and I get to try them all.
Well, that's $120 a year versus $60 a year that you.
How many games come out a year?
How many good games? No. How many good games come out a year that are exclusive to the Xbox?
Well, okay, so let's say you spend $10 to check out that one game, or you go spend $60, buy it, and then you're screwed with a $60 game that you go return in, and you only get $30.
Well, I mean that
like, you look at that side of it.
Yeah, to each their own with that. I'm not a huge fan of returning things back to GameStop. Never used that. I know a lot of people do, but I've never done that. If I buy a game, I'm going to play it until it burns out, even if it's shit. But sometimes I'll do that just to make sure that the game's good to go and that I got my money's worth. At the same token, I won't always buy a game right when it comes out if I think that it might be questionable.
Right.
And I usually, if it's a AAA game, I admit I almost always get it. If it's not a AAA game, I kind of hold off and see how other people play with it to see if it's a better game. But yeah, like I said, I'm playing a little bit of devil's advocate with you guys. I'm mostly a PlayStation player, but I do play all the systems, the Xbox, PC, Nintendo, and PlayStation. So I mess with all of them. So I do. It's kind of like the whole microtransaction thing with me with games. I just feel like that I'm paying more and more every year. It seems like I'm adding more and more to pay to play a game. It's kind of frustrating because the economy as it is, you barely pay attention, let alone pay for another game.
Yeah, it seems to be a conversation that we keep having over and over again is cost of games and where publishers and developers are getting their money from.
Games should be more anyway.
And I mean, this is just another way to do it.
Yeah, but how much?
Well, they cost less now than they did. If you want to adjust for inflation, they cost less now. At least $20, I suppose, to you less now than they did in the 90s. You'd be paying $80 for a copy of Street Fighter, 90, 100.
You're right. So one of the best things with games so far is the consistency and being $60. But the problem is that it's not $60 anymore. It really isn't, because you have to pay the extra $20 for DLC, then you have to pay the extra or $40 for a DLC that's coming out, or the what is that called, the season pass, So you have to pay. So you're saying that we're paying less, but we really aren't. We're actually paying that $80 to $100 for each one of those games because we're not getting full content to the game. Whereas in the 1990s, when you bought Street Fighter, it was Street Fighter. There was
you had to buy
else.
Turbo, and then you had to buy Turbo 2 and like Championship Edition.
But those are two
you still
different
had to do that.
But those are different games,
No, they're extensions of. They're extra characters, and they're extra costumes, and
so
you're not paying for much
aesthetics.
It's like buying Final Fight and Final Fight Guy if you want to get really old school.
Oh, I remember that stuff, but I mean, like I said, and we've gotten to this, I guess, discussion before about paying for all the extra stuff, the amenities, the what is it called again? The A word, to aesthetics, that you're looking at. And the problem is buying that one extra mission that nobody else has. That's $40 to buy it. I like I said, I don't like that. I think that when you get a game, that's it. Give you the game. Stop making me.
I guess with that too, like to go along with like the points you're making, because you do make good points. The other side of it is the game itself. Was the core game good enough that justify the extras or not having extras?
So
let's
go back to God of War. Okay, $60 game. Okay. If they were to bring out a DLC that composed of probably half the game time that you put into the actual game, I would buy it. Why? Like you said, content of the original game. Is it worth it to buy the downloadable content to go on top of that game? More times than not, I'm going to say no, it's not. You get 5-6 hours maybe out of a DLC, usually for most of the DLCs that have been coming out, and that's it. You burn through it, and then you repeat. Why pay for it?
I mean, if
Game Pass.
If y'all don't pay for games, they're not gonna be able to make them anymore. So
this is true. And you got to think about the quality of the game.
It's insane that we're still paying $60 for games. We should be paying at least $80, if not $85, just for inflation. Never mind the enormous cost of increase in how much like production value goes into like a AAA game. Like I can't even imagine how much God of War costs to make.
But we are paying that, is what I'm saying. We are paying.
I'm not.
More than you're
I
thinking.
paid. What did I pay? I paid $42 for God of War.
Because of a discount of some kind of membership, correct?
Yeah, I have a Best Buy membership, and I also got discount codes from Best Buy that I applied to that as well.
But who puts in money into that stuff? But if you, let's say you're buying the outright game digital deluxe edition that you got from the PlayStation, what was that, 70, $80? They do come out where you are paying that for those games. Like I said, let's talk about the other games like Destiny or something, where you're paying $60 for the base game. But if you want, they usually have, now it's come out to 3 different types of games. You got your basic game that's $60. You have a digital deluxe game that's usually about $80, and then a gold game that has whatever for $100 to $120. So that does come out, and they do get that money back. But you have to pay for whatever extra aspect that you want. For like Far Cry 5 that just came out, if you bought the gold edition, then you got Far Cry 3. So they give you a game that basically they're not making as much on anymore. And hey, here, this is free.
So the problem with the argument you're making, Red, is that you keep saying you have to, and you don't.
No,
but you don't have to buy them. No.
Right. Well, that's what you keep saying. You keep saying you gotta buy this, you gotta buy that, and you don't. Like you can.
In order to get that extra content, you do. You can't get it any other way.
All right. But if you don't want that content, you don't have to buy it.
But what about all those completionists? Your platinum.
Then you pay for it.
Trophy members.
Like it's all your choice, right? Like it's really just choice. Is what it comes down to.
It is. But what the game that you're getting is basically like 80% of the game. You're not getting 100% of the game.
Or is it like 120% of the games we were getting before?
That is, I guess, an argument that you can have with that. Maybe you are getting 100% and then there's 20% on top of it. The way I see it is it's an unfinished story. It's about 80% of the game. But we can argue that back and forth until, till we're blue in the face.
And like I'd like give me some examples. Like what is an example of an 80% story that you played?
Destiny's Wrath.
Destiny?
Yeah. Destiny would have been one.
I mean, I played Destiny, and are you talking about the first Destiny?
No, the second one.
Okay, I mean that story had a conclusion. That ended.
But in that point, I would disagree. Each point, how is it conclusion? Your conclusion would state that that's the end. There could be no more to the game.
You beat the bad guy. The story ended, and you also had the raid that you could have done more with. I mean, you didn't.
I didn't even say Destiny. Somebody else in a chat said Destiny. So
yeah, I mean, let's hate on Destiny because that's what everyone does, right?
Well, I mean, that was just one of the ones that I can think of.
I don't think that Destiny, the first Destiny, maybe that was a shitty story game. The second Destiny, I think, as a story, that game concluded.
Was better.
That game had a conclusion. The story was complete.
Let's add in Final Fantasy 15.
All right, I didn't play that, so I can't.
I can take this one. Come on,
go ahead.
Let's go. No, I want to hear what you have to say, and then I'll butt heads with you on this one.
All right, so you got Final Fantasy 15 with that.
What have I done?
This is now the Voxel Voicecast.
Well, yeah, everybody verse Red. I like playing devil's advocate because it gets people it gives us something to conversate about. But so let's go with Final Fantasy 15 as they stated. All right, so let's go with that. You have all the extra stuff for that. So the story does end in that technically at the end of Final Fantasy 15. Am I wrong?
No, it ends. Like you had a core game. It was complete as is.
There you go. Then you have all the additional content of Prompto's story,
everybody's story, because it completed, but everybody got so attached to those characters.
Wait.
They wanted more.
What word did you just use? It completed. So if
Yeah.
you're saying that it completed something, it means it wasn't complete.
No, I think what he was saying is that the
No,
original
I was saying
game
like
completed.
Final Fantasy 15 before you go on to that DLC was complete. You had an
Yes.
entire story, start to end, but
Mm.
you had characters that you got attached to that you wanted to learn more. So because the fans wanted more, they were able to use the DLC to add in. This is what happened in this gap of time. This happened in this gap of time. This happened in this gap of time.
To use another analogy, it's like a Marvel one-shot. Not necessarily the extension of that one story. It's a spin on it, is what I think Derek's
it
trying
was
to say.
like filling in the gap.
Mm.
Because it had a story. The story was complete, but there were, you can't have every single thing that went on.
Mm.
Because, where the extra stuff takes place, you were playing as purely Nocturne.
So that being said, do you feel that you want to have to pay for that extra bit of information? Do you think that
If
you
you want
should?
it.
Yeah.
So, and you think it's worth the price that it was?
Yeah, I think it was.
Well, that's in the eye of the
Justified.
beholder, isn't it? That's individual.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
Well,
And
it's
then
all
for me.
individual,
Yeah, it
like-
was, and it was justified because with each of those extra stories to fill in that.
What
They did
about the
very
Royal
well.
Edition that just came out with that?
The Royal Edition, I haven't looked too much into it. I'm waiting for.
Oh,
when
come
I
on! You're
feel-
supposed to. Come
No,
on!
I want to
look
come
it
back
up.
to the. I want to come back to the game to do the Royal Edition, but what I'm waiting
So
for.
anyway,
is to see-
bunny rabbits.
Yeah, but
Is
you know,
seeing
like I
what's
said,
gonna
playing
come
devil's
with it.
advocate, to try and get a little bit of questioning into this, and I'm kind of with you guys. Most games I would say are complete. I don't mind paying for that expansion pass, but I think that or season pass, but I think it should encompass all the DLC that comes with it, not just one or two, and then you got to buy the season pass again for another set of DLC, and then another season pass for another set of DLC. And on top and top. And what I mean with that is with like Final Fantasy 15 I brought up, you had that first DLC set that came with your expansion set. But then now with this Royal Edition, there's even more content, but I'd have to pay for that extra content that came with the Royal Edition versus what was originally with the DLC.
There's 2 season passes.
Well,
It kind of. So the way
that
it
takes
came
a
out,
piss. Okay.
So the way it came out is with Final Fantasy 15 is that it came out with this original set of DLC, and so that's all the Promptos Gladius and all the stories that Derek knows about and's played probably, right?
Yeah, I've played them all.
And then apparently with the Royal Edition you get a little bit more with it, but you have to pay for it. You won't get it unless you buy the Royal Edition. So those are the type of things where it just and like I said, I argue about this is the fact that we pay for that extra content, and it's like we're paying for each individual set of it. You say that I get the DLC free, but if I have a season pass, but that DLC has a limitation to which ones I get free. I have to buy another season pass to get, or a different version of the game to get that extra content that might go with another one.
Yeah, it
And
looks like
with that
if you're an existing owner of Final Fantasy 15, you could purchase the Royal Pack separately if you just want that content.
But I don't. That comes down to that point. You're still paying for something else that I thought might be just the DLC that you should have with the season pass that you already bought. But that's it.
God, I'm glad I thought it was shit.
I'm sorry. That would be my topic of discussion.
I will always say that I wish they would just charge more for games like upfront instead of trying to sneak things in. Like,
yeah, I guess it depends like how the companies handle it too.
Yeah, so $15 gets you the Royal Pack, which includes what you don't get.
I'm in 100% agreement with you. If I could pay $85 up front and get everything and not have to worry about sneaky things in the future, I'd totally be for it.
I mean, like, at the same time, I'm kind of like, with certain games, I like the trickle. Like, I like completing the game, and then they're like, 6 months later, put something else out that brings me back to the game. Whether or not that should be paid for, I think that it should be paid for somewhere. Like, it shouldn't just be free. Like, it shouldn't be $60 plus this free thing. Whether or not you pay for it up front, in the form of an inflated initial cost for the game, is one way to do it, or they do it with the season pass or standalone, like not necessarily standalone, but purchased separately DLC. And I guess this goes back to my initial point with Xbox Live wrapping in Games Pass into the initial charge. Like, with the latter option of you pay the initial price for the game, and then 6 months later they put out new DLC and they charge for it, you have the choice. You could say, I want to pay this extra $15, extra $20 for this extra story content, which maybe you want, maybe you're interested in that, but maybe you're done with the game. Maybe you don't care about the game anymore. You sold it, or whatever the case is. You got your fill of it. You can choose not to. Whereas if they force you to pay for that up front, you're kind of like, well, now I'm not going to play this. Like you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, and like, I'm paying for this. I'm paying for this content 6 months down the road that I might not end up playing. And
I think it does too, is like how the companies handle it. Because I think the biggest scams are like with Call of Duty and Battlefield. There's season passes to get the new map. You're paying for almost a whole new game for very, very little content.
That's the thing that I would argue is what I'm arguing about, is the fact that you're paying a lot for a new game and you're getting very little. You're getting very little out of it, and that comes with some games like Call of Duty, like you said, and that happens, and I don't like that. I think some things are overcharged. I do believe sometimes you should get free content if you're like let's say Call of Duty. If you're a loyal player and you're like constantly on that for 6 months, and you've gotten your play out of it, and you're keeping the servers going up and everything and all that so forth, that hey guys, thank you for being loyal players and supporting our game. Here's a free set of maps. Why not? Here's a free set of DLC. Why not?
mean, there's obviously egregious situations, like Call of Duty's been that for a long time. Like, I think for one, it doesn't appeal to me. Call of Duty hasn't appealed to me for a very long time, so I'm coming from a point of no matter what they offer, it's probably going to seem like a ripoff to me, so I'm not really one to posture about that. But in my opinion, outside looking in, I don't know. People seem to like Call of Duty. I don't get it. But someone does, because they keep buying it over and over again,
right.
And they keep making money, and they keep doing the same business model over and over again. And it may not be as huge of a seller as it was, say, in like the Modern Warfare early Black Ops days, but it's still like routinely number one, like of the year
when it releases. Yeah.
Like it still makes gigantic
still a
amounts of money.
First person shooters are definitely huge with almost every. I mean, look at CS:GO and Battlefield. Every one of those first person shooters, they just sell a lot.
Yeah. So like, yeah, it's we're not into it, I guess. As I don't know if Derek gets. I don't really know his taste on Call of Duty.
I'm coming back and forth to it. Yeah.
But as far as getting the maps and stuff, I wait until the season pass goes on sale.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or I find a sale when I can get more than one thing, or they're like, all right.
Or they do like the complete, like it's been out for like a year now. Okay, you can grab everything all together.
Yep.
unless it grabs my attention. Like World War II was really good. I enjoyed playing that when it came out. I enjoyed the story part of it, and then having a small group that I play with. I usually have the same 4 or 5 players that I always play with. So hopping in there with all them, that's fun. It justifies that for me. But like for waiting for the new maps to come out, you get 4 maps, and then you get like 12 for a year, and that's as much as the entire game. That's
yeah.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. It's the same thing with me. I'll play if it goes on sale.
Yeah, I think that's just like that would be my best example for me personally of where it's not being handled good to where like I would say Final Fantasy handled good because they gave you a lot of free content too. Like and they're always putting out new stuff.
Yeah, they spread it out.
It kept it going, but with them, I guess we can keep going into this argument, but with them, they were listening to what we wanted and then finding ways to perfect that to give it.
And I like that. Don't get me wrong. I like that. So.
Yeah, so I guess that's all I have to say with it.
Yeah, I think we should move on.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Sorry, guys.
No, it's my fault. I'm not
you're good.
One.
I guess
Lee opened up a can there.
My little thing.
All right,
Jesus
Red.
Christ.
What did you have on your topic?
On my topic,
yeah.
I'll make it short and sweet for you guys. I saw that Valve. I saw that the creators of Firewatch were being bought out by Valve, which I thought was pretty cool. If you guys don't know who made Firewatch, it's Campo Santo. It's probably about 12 people working on those games. They're also coming out with another game called In the Valley of the Gods, which if you guys haven't taken a look at, looked really cool. I know Ryan played Firewatch. You liked that immensely, right?
Oh yeah, that was one of my top games of that year.
Yeah, so I mean, definitely a really good thing. And so what I've been reading is not only did Valve like hook them up with all of the stuff of being part of Valve, they kept them together. So they're not splitting them up and sending them off to all these different areas to go work in other studios. No, they're keeping them together as a studio and having them pursue the next project and continue it that should be coming out in 2018. That was the topic I was going to bring up, but I think I got so long-winded with Lee there that that's enough information for that, other than what Ryan might have to say.
Yeah, for a little context, there's recently Gabe Newell had been out there suggesting that Valve is going to start getting back into the games business as opposed to what they've been doing, which is kind of like just supporting their existing stuff and of course making millions and millions and billions of dollars on Steam. So
why not?
Like I don't like who knows how that's going to pan out for a company like Valve, and if this is the direction they're going, like acquiring smaller indie studios and kind of letting them do what they want to do but under the umbrella and support of Valve, I think that's awesome.
It gives them more resources to work.
Yeah,
make better games.
We'll see how it pans out. Certainly, like I mean, it sounds great right now, but if all of a sudden it turns bad where they're taking too much control away from the developers or something like that, then that's not a good thing, because what I like the most about indie games is that they can take the risks and try new things without having to worry about whatever the current trend is. Yeah, whatever the current trend is. They can, in a lot of ways, they're helping to kind of push the industry forward in certain aspects where it's kind of stagnating. And if Valve can kind of foster that, then I think that's a pretty cool thing. The other element of this is some of these people that work at Campo Santo, I've followed them outside of video game development. They, a lot of them run, I don't know if you've heard of the Idle Thumbs podcast and network. they have a podcast. They have other things too, but so listening to them talk about game development and talk about games that they like to play, they were, and you can see it in Firewatch. They were very influenced by Half-Life. And
there's never going to be another Half-Life.
The route, the path that Half-Life took games, leading to things like, simple things like, they're huge fans of Far Cry 2, which is why you see the physical paper map in Firewatch, where you're actually taking a map out of your pocket and looking at it, as opposed to it going up into a big menu. And just little things like that. Like they're very into like creating immersive environments, like adding little detail to make worlds feel more alive than the typical game. And so that's exciting to see, like what they're going to do at Valve with that kind of pedigree and that kind of line of inspiration. So basically what I'm saying is Half-Life 3 confirmed. 2020 game of the year, Half-Life 3.
If they brought out another Half-Life, that game would just like sell everywhere.
Yeah, well, that's kind of
and it would matter the price.
The weird.
No,
thing.
It would not.
Well, that's kind of the weird
Half-Life
discussion
3.
around Half-Life, is whether or not, yeah, it will sell, but will it ever possibly live up to any sort of expectations?
No.
And whether
it's never going to happen.
And will it be? I don't know. It's so fucking hard to say.
People have made Half-Life 3 so many times over in their heads in the last however many years.
Right.
Yeah,
it's never gonna. Yeah.
I'd love to see it, but yeah, no.
It's impossible to meet expectations, and whether or not that would do more good or bad for Valve is the question. Because like they don't need to. Like they're a private company that makes so much money, that's worth so much money, that just they don't have to put out a single game ever. Right? They can just live off what they make on Steam and the games that they already have out. So like the risk of backlash from something that doesn't live up to the hype of Half-Life 3 is kind of like is like probably not worth the risk for them to do. But maybe they're going to take these guys and they're going to at least kind of make something in that vein, something a little bit more of what we're used to with what Valve used to be, as opposed to what they are now, which is, storefront basically. Yeah, I hope that works out, because I loved Firewatch and I was looking forward to Valley of the Gods. So, hopefully that it's all a good thing. So Derek, what do you got?
Yeah, okay. So mine are both real. I got two of them, but they're real short, real simple. This weekend, if you sign up for it, you should be able to get into the PS4 beta for Defiance 2050. If no one remembers Defiance, still going huge on PC, and everybody's been asking forever now for it to come to next gen, and their answer is Defiance 2050, which is a complete reimagining of the core game with everything they've added and more, and it'll be coming out free to play. But you can go to Defiance 2050 right now, .com, and sign up for it, and they're doing a beta this weekend. One ran last weekend, and I heard it did really well. And then my second thing, this is for PS4 people. It's kind of big, because if it works out, it'll be nice. But H1Z1 is going to be going into beta May 22nd. but what they've done is they've created custom coding for the game designed specifically around our console. Whereas the downfall with PUBG was it just kind of felt like a PC port that didn't do as well when it came over to the Xbox. So I'm interested to see how this goes because it was fun. I enjoyed playing it on PC, but they've said it's going to run at 60 frames per second on the PS4 Pro. It's been custom designed to run on that system. So we'll see. It could be Sony's kind of little answer to not getting PUBG right away. So that's all I got.
Is that Defiance game that same thing that was on Sci-Fi a couple of years ago?
Yes,
Yeah.
it used to be. It was a TV show that went side by side with the game. When certain things happened in a TV show, it happened in the game as well as an event.
So did that die? I went to Germany about the time that happened. So
the
I have no
show-
idea what happened.
The show got canceled after season 2, but
Oh,
the
that's too
game
bad.
the game on PC is still running huge. It gets monthly events. There's a huge fan base still playing it. And like I was saying when I had mentioned about it, like everybody's been asking, hey, are you going to bring this to next gen? Because it's still on PC. It's still thriving. And finally, out of nowhere, they're like, hey, Defiance 2050. It's going to be the original game redone as its like definitive edition. But all the additions they've had, they're adding even more. They're going to continue the story even further, and it's going to come out free to play.
I'll have to check that out. I was definitely into the show when it first came out. Didn't get a chance to play the game.
And the first one is free to play now too, I believe. I think you just have to sign up for the Tryon Worlds little app thing, and then you can go in and download it, I believe.
So I'm getting a question from Nicholas in chat. He asked me whether or not I think the newer innovative ideas are helpful towards gaming or if they're bad. I say they're better. And then he replied that new ideas don't always work, kind of like the Kinect. I did not see the Kinect as a failure. I actually saw the Kinect as a good thing. I still use mine, always have. I used it when you were able to do the motion stuff with it for games. I can tell you.
On it.
Oh yeah, I can tell you. First time I played Dragon Ball Z on that, man, I swear I lost 20 pounds. So, yeah,
I think with something like the Kinect, though, to add to that, its implications outside of just being used on the Xbox. So, like the 3D mapping and the stuff in the medical field they were using it for was pretty impressive.
I think that, and then he brought up the PlayStation Move. PlayStation Move was basically PlayStation's version of the Kinect. But then you're still using that stupid ass thing for the VR now. So what has changed? I personally think that all the VR stuff that's come out, we're talking about innovations. I think it's trash, but that's my personal opinion. You're basically taking a screen. Sorry for the noise. Taking a screen and just flopping it right up to your face, and wearing headphones. As far as the VR goes, and then holding on to little remotes for your VR type thing for the PlayStation type VR. I don't like it. When I think VR, I think full immersion. Feel like you're in it. If you get like hit by a bullet, you feel like slight shock in your chest. You feel like you're doing it. If you're playing a sword game, you feel like you're actually holding something that has weight and not throwing a controller and smashing your TV like when Nintendo's which was that the Wii first came out. They showed people smashing their TVs, throwing the things.
Yeah, I guess that's so. Like the Kinect and the Move were actually responses to the Wii.
Yeah.
And I guess the difference there is that Nintendo, they went all in on it, as opposed to Sony and Microsoft that they never came out with that one thing that was like, oh yeah, this is what you need this for. Like they never proved the point. Whereas the Wii did, But at the same time, here we are today, and Nintendo didn't even stick with it.
Yeah.
There are motion control elements that have carried over, like like the gyroscopes and stuff like that. But even like the accelerometer in the PlayStation 3 controller didn't carry over into the DualShock 4. So like even if they do pull it off like they did with the Wii and are successful with it, there's still the chance that it's just going to be a one-off thing.
Well, I was smart enough to realise that the Wii was of its time.
We're about to have another...
once the novelty of that has gone, they didn't try to re-implement it with
we're about to have another
fucking great Wii thing. Or
the World Serpent is about to show up again.
Your cat wants attention.
Yeah, the World Serpent has showed up again. And
Jesus Christ.
All right. I guess we should move into
our
endorsements. Yeah.
I got you, Ryan.
Yeah, I'm endorsing.
It's been a long day.
I'm endorsing cats. No.
Cats that interrupt streams.
I'll just go real quick. My endorsement is very specific. If you have an older model iPhone, older than an iPhone 6, like an iPhone 5 or something like that, you probably heard about the battery issue where they were throttling the phone's performance in order to conserve battery. Supposedly, like, it was all good for you, but in reality, it just made your phone real shitty all the time. They just recently put out the most latest version of the software, the iOS, fixes that. They no longer are throttling your phone. You can go in, you can choose whether or not you want it to do that. You can check to see if you're, like, there's like a life meter on your battery that tells you like how much of a, like, even when you charge your battery to 100%, that doesn't mean that the capacity is at 100%. So it gives you that readout right in the settings. And it, like I said, it completely took away the throttling. So my phone is like running like it should be now. As opposed to like the last 6 months where it's been running really, really super shitty and for no reason at all. So that's my endorsement. Lee, what are you endorsing?
Right. I couldn't pick one, so I'm going to go very quickly in here because it's very late and I'll forget otherwise.
Yeah. That's why I got
Douglas
you.
Adams, Mostly Harmless. Last of the Hitchhiker's books.
What was that? I'm sorry.
Batman Golden Dawn.
Can you
is,
say Lee? I didn't.
Yeah.
Can you repeat?
Move it closer
your first
to your
one?
face. We're not seeing it.
You're going too fast.
Yeah, too fast. Douglas Adams, Mostly
Okay.
Harmless.
All right.
Last of the Hitchhiker's Guidebooks. Batman. That's not new. That's old, 2012. But Batman Golden Dawn. CDs.
And what are those?
Mercure.
That looks like a
One's a
CD.
book,
is
one's a
kind of-
comic, a graphic novel, and then a CD, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mercure is a musical thing. It's kind of Joan Baez meets death metal. Very strange. Movie. The Void. Ryan, you're a fan of The Thing, aren't you?
Yes.
Have a look at that. There's a giggle going on in that. You'll like that one. It's kind of a siege type movie, and everything goes all licky. And check out The Void. And Axiom Verge. I
Okay,
didn't get a chance to play this first time.
I can endorse that as well.
That was
It's on
pretty.
sale right
I'm
now.
enjoying that. And an older one, Call of Cthulhu. I've been getting back into this. It's also on PC. I recommend you get it if you like your Lovecraft. Probably going to be the most accessible game you're going to get. Check that one out. That's a very good game. But yeah, that's me. I'm done.
Okay. Red, what are you endorsing?
Let's see. I'm definitely the new Venom movie coming out. I'm all for that. I do have some questionable thoughts about it because of the whole background for Venom, but we'll get into that when that comes out.
Oh.
We'll see if there's a second endorsement after the release.
Yeah, yeah, I'll take it back.
When is that?
Yeah.
Is it like October, isn't it?
An endorsement?
I think so. Yeah, around October possibly.
Oh, that's a ways.
Oh, wow.
As far as other things that I might endorse,
That's fine. Just one. Just it really just
Water.
supposed to do one.
I
Yeah.
endorse
Fuck
water.
yeah.
We've done enough.
Fuck yeah.
Take or leave it.
I also endorse water.
I always say whenever you guys see me streaming, make sure you guys are hydrating whenever you're streaming or playing games, and make sure you guys take a few minutes to step away from your computer and look away so you don't hurt your eyes. That's probably one of my biggest concerns with people doing gaming or streaming. Pay attention to the time that you're doing it. There have been casualties, sadly, because of not paying attention to that. So be careful and be safe.
This has been a public announcement by the Voxel Cast.
Yeah, that's all. Take care of yourself.
Yeah,
all right.
absolutely.
Be careful
Derek,
out there.
what are we endorsing?
All right, yeah. We're endorsing Tasty Cakes.
Okay.
And then we go into unhealthy.
I got 3 things. So the next one is going to be
No,
HyperX Cloud.
listen. 3 things. Why is everybody got a whole
dude.
bunch of things? We got other casts we gotta do. I don't want.
Yeah.
We're gonna get to.
Okay,
Because
so
we
I'll
didn't
do
have
right now.
4 minutes
Okay,
to do a battery, Ryan.
We're gonna have. You're gonna be
This
getting.
one's Lee's fault, though.
We're gonna
The
be
next one I
3.
got.
Ryan
Oh,
endorsed
Lee's fault.
Frostpunk for like 20 minutes. We're endorsing for 5.
Yeah.
Right,
Hey,
right.
I talked about
battery
Frostpunk
for 4 minutes.
All right,
I
anyway,
talked about
so-
Frostpunk.
Stupid story. The HyperX Clouds I usually use when we're casting. At work, I cut the cord in half. So I got a hold of their support.
So you're
Ordered a
endorsing
new pair.
scissors?
Yeah, their support is awesome. Especially because they were on back order. And they must have messaged me 20 times to make sure that I was all right with it.
Okay.
It's
Were
the same
you
with Astro, by the way.
were you all right with it?
Yeah, I was. Because I
Okay.
needed the cord. And it was only $10. I thought it was going to be like $40 for a new cord. It's like a $100 headset.
With
Okay.
that being said, Derek, Astro is just as good about their support with you as that company is.
I know. Astro's right here.
Yep.
And last thing, because he said it, H.P. Lovecraft,
Oh,
the
there you go.
Necromonicon.
That's a book.
Is that the gigantic? That's the collected book, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I've
And
got
you-
that one.
Oh, Lee, you can only get this one from the UK. That's where
Yeah,
it
that's the
came
one
from.
I've got.
Lee wrote
Yeah,
it.
it's got everything except for his short poems.
Yeah, I imported it so I could have it to read.
Little known fact,
Glorious.
Lee wrote it.
I also support Full Metal Jacket after the passing of R. Lee Ermey. Being a jarhead myself, I'd suggest you guys pay homage to the man and take a look at that movie if you haven't already.
I'll also endorse Full Metal Jacket.
Because
I'm
you
worried
guys
because
can't really see
we're gonna
it,
get like
but-
3. We're gonna get like 3 casts in, and you're gonna be like, I'm endorsing this pooper scooper. Because there's gonna be nothing left. This is really
Going
nice
down
toilet
here.
paper.
Oh no! I got tons of stuff I can endorse. I'm
Here's
not
my-
like these.
here's-
30.
I got a bunch of
stuff.
Here's a really cool vacuum
It's like
cleaner.
that scene in Wayne's World. We're all endorsing different. Like, I do not bow down to any sponsors.
Yeah.
As you see the Pepsi in the back.
All right. I guess that's gonna do it. I endorse ending this podcast.
Jesus, so do I.
We endorse Voxel.
Yes, I endorse Voxel Voice.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Where is it? There it is. Right in the middle.
I'm sad you can't really see mine because of the lighting. The gamer things.
Yeah. You should endorse light bulbs.
Light bulbs. Yeah,
Yeah.
brighter ones.
Or ones that are in front of you and not behind you.
Yeah, the only one I got in my room is the ceiling fan thing up there.
I just got what I'm using is just a desk lamp.
I don't got room for one.
What I have here is actually for photo taking photos and so forth, and it's set up specifically for this type of thing, for casting and streaming and so forth.
Red, are you going to be streaming God of War, or you're not going to be streaming God of War?
Yes, so in about a half hour to an hour, more likely a half hour, I'm going to be streaming more of my God of War for you guys to watch. So be sure to drop in, and hopefully somebody from this cast will look in the first 5 minutes and tell me that my mic's not muted for an hour.
Yeah, mic's not muted.
Like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
But yeah, come by, join me. Let me know what you guys think of the gameplay, and yeah.
All right, cool. Thanks for joining us, guys. Thanks for joining us in the chat. We'll be back at another time. I don't know when.
It's like wait, yeah, another time.
I don't know when. Keep your eye peeled.
I endorse a solid schedule.
Yeah, I do not endorse a solid schedule. Hideo Kojima's solid schedule.
Oh, Jesus.
All right, that's gonna do it. Thanks, guys.
All right, okay.
Bye,
Later.
okay.
Bye.
Later.